This specific stretch of water is without a doubt the single most vulnerable artery of the entire global energy supply. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Every day, 21 million barrels flow through here, 21% of global consumption. There is no room to maneuver. At its narrowest, the lanes are 21 miles wide, bordered directly by Iranian territory. Whoever controls this specific geographic bottleneck holds the ultimate leverage point over the entire global economy. For decades, the US and Iran fought a shadow war, confined to cyber warfare, economic sanctions, and covert operations, stalling Iranian nuclear development. Recent escalations in Gaza and the Red Sea have collapsed the buffer of proxy deniability. Both nations are now operating in a state of open, direct friction. With the shadow war finished, a single miscalculation in the Gulf would likely bypass proxy channels and trigger a direct military exchange on sovereign soil.
Iran projects power through a vast proxy network. By backing groups like the Houthis in Yemen and Hezbollah in Lebanon, Tehran can strike at U.S. interests while keeping its own conventional forces in reserve. The United States counters this with traditional maritime power. CENTCOM has significantly expanded its naval presence in these waters to protect commercial shipping lanes. Iran responds with an asymmetric strategy. They use small, fast motorboats and armed personnel to harass and seize massive tankers, as seen in the recent capture of the St. Nicholas. The strategy is simple. Iran doesn't need to defeat the U.S. Navy. They only need enough chaos to make the strait uninsurable for commercial transit. In a 30-day blockade, global oil reserves rapidly deplete. Panic buying takes over, forcing crude prices to spike past $150 a barrel. This massive supply shock triggers severe inflation, bleeding directly into manufacturing, logistics, and everyday consumer goods. A blockade here acts as a mechanical trigger, launching an immediate global economic recession. To see how this affects distant economies, we can look at India as a case study. This diagram illustrates India's core vulnerability. The country imports more than 80% of its oil, leaving its entire domestic economy tethered to the transit routes in the Persian Gulf. There is also a massive human risk. Over 8 million Indian citizens work in the Middle East. A full-scale regional war would require the largest emergency civilian evacuation in history. Instability also paralyzes future strategic infrastructure, specifically freezing the developing India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC. Regardless of a nation's foreign policy, a conflict in Hormuz forces them to absorb the devastating costs of a war beyond their borders. This leaves policymakers in Washington facing a nearly impossible choice. Continuing a policy of containment emboldens proxy forces to escalate. But launching direct military strikes carries the near certainty of the strait being closed in retaliation. This standoff is an unresolved fracture in the global system, leaving world markets dependent on the precarious restraint of two opposing military powers.